the Tinder-Box. A soldier came marching along the high road, left, right. He had his knapsack on his back and a sword by his side, for he had been to the wars and was now returning home. An old witch met him on the road, and she was very ugly to look at, and her underlip hung down to her breast.
"Good evening, soldier,"
she said.
"What a fine sword and knapsack you have. You are something like a soldier. You ought to have as much money as you would like to carry."
"Thank you, old witch," said the soldier.
"You see that great tree there?"
said the witch, pointing at a tree beside them.
"It has a hollow within. You must climb up to the top, and then you will see a hole through which you can let yourself down into the tree. I will tie a rope round your waist so that I may be able to pull you up again."
"What shall I do down there?" asked the soldier.
"Get money," answered the witch. "Listen, when you reach the bottom of that tree, you will find yourself in a large hall. It is light there, for there are more than 300 lamps burning. You will see 3 doors which you can open. The keys are all in the locks. If you go into the first room, you will see a great chest in the middle of the floor with a dog sitting upon it. He has eyes as large as saucers, but you needn't trouble about him. I will give you my blue check apron, which you must spread out on the floor, and then go back quickly to fetch the dog and set him upon it. Take the chest and take as much money as you like. It is copper there. If you would rather have silver, you must go into the next room, where there is a dog with eyes as large as mill wheels. But don't take any notice of him, just set him upon my apron and help yourself to the money. Though, if you prefer gold, you can get that too, if you go into the third room as much as you like to carry. But that dog stands guard on the chest, has eyes as round as the large Tower of Copenhagen. He is a savage dog, I can tell you, but you needn't be afraid of him either. Only put him on my apron and he won't touch you. And then you can take out of the chest as much gold as you like."
"Come, this is not bad," said the soldier. "But what am I to give you, old witch? For surely you're not doing this for nothing."
"Yes, I am," replied the witch. "Not a single farthing will I take. For me you shall bring nothing but an old tinder-box which my grandmother forgot last time she was down there."
"Well, tie the rope around my waist," said the soldier.
"Here it is," said the witch, "and here is my blue check apron."
Then the soldier climbed up the tree and let himself down to the hole, and found himself standing, as the witch had said, underground in a large hall, where there were 300 lamps burning. Well, he opened the first door. There sat a dog with eyes as big as saucers, just glaring at him. "You are a fine fellow," said the soldier, and put him on the witch's apron, and took as much copper as his pockets could hold. Then he shut up the chest and put the dog on it again. And he went to the second room. Sure enough, there was a dog with eyes as large as mill wheels. "You had better not look at me so hard," said the soldier. "Your eyes will come out of their sockets." And then he set the dog on the apron, which he saw all the silver in the chest. He threw away the copper he had taken, and filled his pockets and knapsack with nothing but silver. And then he went to the third room. Horrors! The dog there had 2 eyes, each as large as a round tower in Copenhagen, spinning around in his head like wheels. "Good evening," said the soldier, and saluted, for he had never seen a dog quite like this before. When he examined him more closely, he thought to himself, "Now then, I've had enough of this." But put him down on the floor, and he opened the chest. Heavens, what a heap of gold he found there. With all that, he could buy up a whole town, and all the sugar pigs, and tin soldiers, whips, rocking horses, and all the world. Now he threw away all the silver in which his pockets had filled a knapsack, and filled them with the gold instead. Yes, all his pockets, his knapsack, cap, boots even, so that he could hardly even walk. Now he was rich indeed. He put the dog back upon the chest and shut the door, then called up to the witch. "Now pull me up again, old witch."
Have you got the Tinder-Box?
Asked the witch. "Botheration," he said. "I'd clean forgotten it." And then he went back and fetched it. The witch pulled him up, and there he stood again on the high road, with pockets, knapsack, cap, and boots filled with gold.
What about the Tinder-Box?
Asked the soldier. "That doesn't matter to you," replied the witch. "You've got your money. Give me the Tinder-Box." "We'll see," said the soldier. "Tell me at once what you want with it, or I'll draw my sword and cut off your head." "No!" screamed the witch. The soldier immediately cut off her head, and that was the end of her. But he tied up all his gold in her apron and slung it like a bundle over her shoulder. Then he put the Tinder-Box in his pocket and set off towards town. It was a splendid town. He turned into the finest inn and ordered the best chamber and his favorite dinner, for now that he had so much money, he really was rich. It certainly occurred to the servant who had to clean his boots that they were astonishingly old boots for such a rich lord, but that was because he had not yet bought new ones. The next day he appeared in respectable boots and fine clothes. Now, instead of a common soldier, he had become a noble lord, and the people told him about all the grand doings in the town, and the king, and what a beautiful princess his daughter was. "How can one get to see her?" asked the soldier. "She is never to be seen at all," they said. "She lives in a great copper castle, surrounded by many walls and towers. No one except the king may go in and out, for he has prophesied that she will marry a common soldier, and that the king cannot submit to that." "I should very much like to see her," thought the soldier, but he could not get permission. Now he lived very gaily, went to the theater, drove to the king's garden, gave the poor a great deal of money, which wasn't very nice of him, and he had experienced in former times how hard it was to not have a farthing in the world. Now that he was rich and wore fine clothes and made many friends who said that he was an excellent man and a real nobleman, and the soldier liked that. But as he was always spending money and never made any more, at last came the day where he had nothing left but 2 shillings, and he had to leave the beautiful rooms in which he had been living and go into the attic under the roof, and clean his own boots, and mend them with his own darning needle. None of his friends came to visit him there, for there were all too many stairs to climb. It was a dark evening, and he could not see even to buy a light. All at once it flashed across his that there was a little end of the Tinder-Box, which he had taken from the hollow tree in which the witch had helped him down. He found the box with the tinder in it, and he was just kindling a light, and it struck a spark out of the Tinder-Box. The door burst open, and the dog with eyes as large as saucers, which had been down in the tree, stood before him and said, "What does my lord command?" "What's the meaning of this?" exclaimed the soldier. "This is a pretty kind of Tinder-Box. If I can get whatever I want like this, give me the money," he cried. And the dog, and hey, presto, he was off and back again, holding a great purse full of money in his mouth. Now the soldier knew what a capital Tinder-Box this was. If he rubbed once, the dog that sat in the chest of copper appeared. If he rubbed twice, there came the dog that watched over the silver chests. If rubbed 3 times when the guard of the gold appeared. Now the soldier went down against the beautiful rooms and appeared once more in splendid clothes. All his friends immediately recognized him and paid him great court. One day he thought to himself, "It's very strange that no one can get to see the princess. They all say she's very pretty, but what's the use of that if she has to sit forever in a copper castle with all the towers? Can I not manage to see her somehow? Where's my Tinder-Box?" And so he struck a spark, and presto, there came the dog with eyes as large as saucers. "It's the middle of the night, I know," said the soldier, "but I should very much like to see the princess for a moment." The dog was already outside the door, and before the soldier could look round, he came in with the princess. She was lying asleep on the dog's back, and was so beautiful that anyone could see that she was a real princess. The soldier could not refrain from kissing her. He was such a thorough soldier. Then he ran the dog back to the princess, and when it was morning, the king and queen were drinking tea. The princess said that the night before she had such a strange dream about a dog and a soldier. She had ridden on the dog's back, and the soldier had kissed her. "That's certainly a fine story," said the queen. But the next night, one of the ladies-in-waiting was to watch the princess's bed to see if it was only a dream or if it really happened. The soldier had an overpowering longing to see the princess again, so the dog came in the middle of the night and fetched her, running as fast as he could. But the lady-in-waiting swiped on her rubber India shoes and followed them. And when she saw them disappear into a large house, she thought to herself, "Now I know where it is." And she made a great cross on the door with a piece of chalk. Then she went home and lay down, and the dog came back also, with the princess. But when he saw the cross had been made on the door of the house where the soldier lived, he also took a piece of chalk and made crosses on all the doors in town. And that was pretty clever, for now the lady-in-waiting could not find the right house, as there were crosses everywhere. Early the next morning, the king, queen, ladies-in-waiting, and officers came out to see where the princess had been. "Well, there it is," said the king when he saw the first door with a cross on it. "No, there it is, my dear," said the queen, when she likewise saw a door with a cross. "But here's one, and there's another," they all exclaimed, whether they looked across on the door. Then they realized that the sign would not help them at all. But the queen was an extremely clever woman who could do a great deal more than just drive a coach. She took her great golden scissors and cut up a piece of silk and made a pretty little bag of it. Then she filled with the finest buckwheat grains and tied it around the princess's neck. This done, she cut a little hole in the bag so that the grains would be strewn the whole road wherever the princess went. And the night the dog came again, he took the princess on his back and ran away with her to the soldier, who was very much in love with her, and would have liked to have been a prince, so that he might have had her for his wife. The dog did not notice how the grains were strewn right from the castle to the soldier's window, where he ran up to the wall with the princess. In the morning, the king and queen saw plainly where their daughter had been, and they took the soldier and put him in prison. There he sat. Oh, how dark and dull it was in there. And they told him, "Tomorrow you are to be hanged." Hearing that, did not exactly cheer him up any, and he had left his Tinder-Box back at the inn. The next morning he could see through the iron grating in front of his little window how the people were hurrying out of town to see him hanged. He heard the drums and saw the soldiers marching. All the people were running to and fro. Just below his window was a shoemaker's apprentice, with leather apron and shoes, who was skipping along so merrily that one of his shoes flew off and fell against the wall, just where the soldier was sitting peeping through the iron grate. "Oh, Shoemaker's boy, you needn't be in such a hurry," said the soldier to him. "There's nothing going on until I arrive. But if you will run back to the house where I lived and fetch me my Tinder-Box, I will give you 4 shillings. But you must put your best foot forward. The shoemaker's boy was very willing to earn 4 shillings, and fetched the Tinder-Box and gave it to the soldier. And yes, now you shall hear. Outside the town, a great scaffold had been erected, and all around standing were the soldiers, hundreds of thousands of people. The king and queen were sitting in the magnificent throne opposite the judges and the whole council. Because a hanging really is a community event. The soldier was already standing on top of the ladder, but when they wanted to put a rope around his neck, he said that the fulfillment of one innocent request was always granted to a poor criminal before he underwent his punishment. So he would like so much to smoke a small pipe of tobacco. It would be his last pipe in the world, after all. The king could not refuse him this, and he took out his Tinder-Box and rubbed it twice, and then 3 times. Lo and behold, there stood all 3 dogs. The one with eyes as large as saucers, the one with eyes as large as mill wheels, and the third with eyes as large, round tower as Copenhagen. "Help me out now, so that I will not be hanged," cried the soldier. And thereupon the dogs fell upon the judges, the whole council, and seized some by the legs, others by the noses, and threw them so high in the air that they fell down and smashed into pieces. "I won't stand this," said the king, but the largest dog seized him too, and the queen as well, and threw them up after the others. This frightened the soldiers, and the people cried, "Good soldier, you shall be our king, and marry the beautiful princess." Then they put the soldier into the king's coach, and the 3 dogs danced in front, crying hurrah! And boys whistled, and soldiers presented arms. The princess came out of the copper castle and became queen, and that pleased her very much. The wedding festivities lasted for 8 days, and the dogs sat at the table and made eyes at everyone.